Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account and it says my 35 female, husband 35 male, and my friend 36 female acted like they wanted each other sexually right in front of me. Background, my husband and I have been married for 12 years, together for 17. 2 nights ago we went out for a friend's birthday. We call her Jane. Jane is married to my husband's childhood friend. They got married about a year and a half ago and they have not been doing well due to him breaking Jane's trust. They're in therapy but it's getting close to divorce. She is understandably very upset. More background that will make sense later. My husband and I haven't had sex in 2 months. I've recovered from an injury that caused a lot of bleeding during sex. A couple of times during these 2 months I offered oral sex to him, but he declined. He said he wasn't feeling up to it when I offered, and I believe him. I just want to make it clear that this is not a sexless marriage. My husband also has some self-esteem issues from prior trauma, and he's in therapy for that. While we're out for Jane's birthday with some other friends, everything is fine until there are a few drinks in. I only had one the entire night. Our other friends had to call it a night, so it's just me, my husband, and Jane. This is when things get weird. They start flirting in this weird power play for dominance. I don't know how to describe it really. Jane says something about putting herself in a box, like horny jail, because it's been so long since she's had sex. My husband jokingly grabs her by the throat and says, "Yeah, I'll put you in a box." While all this is happening, there's this random dude that's hitting on Jane. It's karaoke night and the random guy serenades her and gives her this silly lap dance. So all fun and games, right? No, it just keeps escalating from here. Later, Jane grabs my husband's hair and shoves him into the wall and he kind of moans. He says, "If you grab me by the hair again, it will end with my dick in your throat." Or something along those lines. This entire time I'm awkwardly laughing it off because I know they're both drunk and they're laughing. At the time, I think my husband is playing around trying to make me feel better because it's her birthday and her marriage is in the trash. I didn't realize it until hours later. My husband wasn't giving me any of the attention he usually does. More flirting keeps happening and my husband asks me multiple times if I'm okay. I just quickly answer that I'm fine. If he's asking me that multiple times, doesn't that sound like he knows something is wrong and he's just looking to see how far this would go? When the bar is closing, I drive us home. Jane doesn't want to go home because of things going on in her marriage. She stayed with us before, so that's not out of the ordinary. And of course, it just gets weirder. Jane pushes my husband onto the couch, straddles him, and chokes him. My husband is enjoying this. I'm standing there dumbfounded. He kept saying how the dynamic was weird, but how much he wanted it. Later, while my husband is in the restroom, Jane tells me that they are not sexually attracted to each other, but they're both very sexually attracted to me. Like yes, I know my husband is sexually attracted to me. He comes out and at some point, my husband says he wants to throw us both down and fuck us, and says, "Go fuck my wife to Jane." As soon as what was said involved me directly, I had to say something then. I said I think both of them sober wouldn't do anything behind Jane's husband's, my husband's best friend from childhood, back, regardless of how much of a jerk he's being. And I wasn't down to do anything when alcohol is involved. They said okay. What I said was a cop-out, honestly. I wouldn't be comfortable if alcohol wasn't involved either, but I didn't know how to reasonably voice that, so I used alcohol as an excuse. Later, I've come to understand I was disassociating at the bar and was not processing what was happening. I also didn't want to come between whatever was happening because they're 2 adults. I shouldn't have to be the sober person to stop or otherwise prevent something from happening by being a mother hen. My husband should know better. We had previously talked about how I was uncomfortable earlier this month when she had put her hand on his chest while laughing. She was also drunk then. He apologized for not stopping that. So what would the night have been like if I wasn't there? I feel grimy or ashamed, but I didn't do anything, so why do I feel that way? How much of this is being drunk and silly and not having had sex in a while, and how much of it is something else? Is this going to happen anytime he has a few drinks and someone gives him attention? I don't know. I've communicated all this to my husband once he was sober, and he says he feels awful. He apologized and made us an appointment with a marriage counselor. I'm asking the above questions, and does it seem like therapy would even help? Has anyone else dealt with someone similar, and what was the result? I'm having nightmares about this. I'm so hurt and angry I can barely even look at my husband. Am I being unreasonable? Is it my fault for not saying I wasn't okay until later, even though I wasn't given the chance to really think about it? Edit, it's 4:30 a.m. here, and I should really try to sleep. I've been trying to read and reply to all your comments, but my head is pounding. I'll pick this back up later on today. Thank you to everyone if I haven't replied to you yet. This whole thing was screaming as some kind of setup for me. You know, her going to the bathroom and then Jane suddenly trying to be all intimate with OP, the way husband kept checking if OP was okay, the blatant comment of "go F my wife." It felt like it was all just testing the waters, like they talked about this beforehand at some point. It felt 100% orchestrated. Jane also going, "we're both attracted to you," when things got intense. Manipulation there as well. With everything, like the comments in the bar that they were making to each other as well. I would have been done and dusted just from that. But a commenter says to OP, "the time it took to process is beside the point. Everyone handles things differently. What's happened in your life to have you tolerating this though? From him and her. There's some deep reason you froze. Abandonment issues, he or she's made these jokes before, etc. And why were they so comfortable doing this? Publicly, in front of you? Tanked out of my mind, I wouldn't do this. There's a core value / morality issue with both of them that doesn't sound like it very much jives with yours. I take some space from them both to think about this or more, since you definitely are a person who needs time to think, and that's okay. Me personally would leave them both in the dust, or if he had a really good excuse, she'd be done in our lives as well." Opie says abandonment issues from childhood. Yes, and very poor self-esteem. Thank you for pointing out that the time it took and is taking for me to process this besides the point. You're right. Commenter says, "holy shit, I'm sorry this happened. It's your fault for not saying something. He can't just be respectful on his own because he loves you. What the actual fuck? How is he proposing you'll fix this, besides counseling? Is he going to stop drinking? Stop having communication with that couple? Tell the husband what happened since they're such good friends? I get individual counseling for yourself to help sort your thoughts and decide what you're going to do." Opie says he's only proposed marriage counseling to fix this, apologizing and saying it will never happen again. And yeah, I feel like it's partially my fault for being a complete doormat. I could understand why Jane didn't see that I was disassociating, but my husband definitely should have. Thinking back on it, the signs were all there. I also have contacted a therapist for myself. Commenter says, "for perspective, I'm 42 male. And then quotes, "at the time I think my husband is playing around trying to make me feel better because it's her birthday." And the commenter continues, "I literally said, 'what?' louder than my usual tone when I read this. This is so whack that it's hard to know where to start. First of all, you have a very loose grip on playing around. If it involves them mind banging right in front of you, or giving you a play-by-play of their desires of their role-playing, telling another woman, even your friend, that he would stick his dick in her mouth is not trying to cheer her up. This is lust that normally goes unspoken. Alcohol, being drunk, doesn't give somebody new desires, it removes their inhibitions that was always there. I've been drunk off my butt when I was younger, and I didn't act like this with other women." Quoting again, "and of course it just gets weirder. Jane pushes my husband on the couch, straddles him and chokes him. My husband is enjoying this. And then says, nobody would disagree that cheating while being drunk is still cheating. Many people believe that there are different forms of cheating. To me, they were cheating right in front of your eyes." I literally said "what" out loud again. This is not normal nor excusable. Don't let them blame it on alcohol. This woman is not your friend. She uses alcohol as an excuse to be forward with other men. I sincerely doubt your husband is the first person she's pulled this behavior on, while still yet being married to somebody else. Every day you continue this friendship, you're letting her spit in your face. As for your husband, I don't know what to tell you other than you are completely right. Opie says, and quoting, "they were cheating right in front of your eyes," and said, "this hit hard and I can't say I disagree. Thank you for your perspective." Commenter says, "bruh. Well, Jane would no longer be my friend and that man would no longer be my husband. Her marriage is in shambles, so she wants to ruin someone else's. Nah, don't put up with that shitstorm from either of them. He literally told you he wanted to fuck her. So how are they not sexually attracted to each other? But the way Jane is acting is the reason her marriage is over, because she cheated on her husband with yours and other men. Because it sure seems like it. Since they were so comfortable doing this, it's clear they've done it before, in my opinion. Opie responds saying, that's another point that doesn't make any sense to me. If they aren't sexually attracted to each other, then what the fuck was all of that? The issue she's having with her marriage stem from something her husband did months ago that broke her trust. Without going into everything because it's a long story. The start of it was he used a substance that really messes with him being bipolar, and he lied about it. Commodore says, the friend would absolutely be gone from my life. She would no longer be allowed around either of us, blocked from phones, etc. Does your husband have an alcohol problem? Does he often go out without you? Because if he acts like that in front of you, can you imagine what he does when you're not there? Do you have a therapist? Maybe one that could work with you on speaking up in uncomfortable conversations. How is your husband behaving since you called him out on it? Opie says he does not have an alcohol problem. He rarely drinks, and when he does, it's social situations and maybe a couple of beers. I can count on one hand the times he's gone out without me. So you can see how this has left me feeling shell-shocked, completely left field. I reached out to make an appointment with a therapist already. I had one earlier this year, but I didn't really vibe with them. I've been meaning to find another anyway. He's just acting as normal. It's kind of like he's walking on eggshells around me though. That's the best way I can describe it. I was organizing and cleaning, trying to stay busy because if I don't, I just cry. And he asked me if I needed help. He would have asked that any other time as well, but I was snippy and said no. He just said okay and did his own thing in our office room. Opie adds one more final comment of their own before the update and says, I'll give you that, I'm a terrible writer, but I'm also really struggling to put everything together as it happened. My mind is a complete mess. I don't have a way to prove anything besides text messages, which could be faked anyway. I'm not sure about the unimportant details, but the mysterious injury was my cervix. I wanted to gloss over the somewhat gory details, but there was a medical reason we hadn't had sex in 2 months. I also feel like I'm taking on some of the blame. If he wasn't pent up, maybe he wouldn't have acted that way, which is stupid. He shouldn't have done that anyway, I know. I tried to paint a picture with the background characters to how the night was going and how that contributed to me freezing up. The random guy being also incredibly drunk and serenading contributed to a very chaotic, hard to even hear yourself, even think karaoke night, and about the friends that already left. I thought it was weird that they only started acting like this after they left. Either that or it was because they had more drinks and therefore less inhibition. An OP comes in with an update and says, I don't really have much to add, but I know people are asking for an update. First therapy session went well. My husband is genuinely remorseful and has no problem never communicating with Jane ever again. I'm doing my best to work through how I feel about all of this and not compartmentalize. Time and hard work will tell if our relationship survives. I have not had a conversation with Jane yet, but I know I need to. She asked me to go to lunch or dinner, just us. But I've had a migraine when she wanted to go, so that was cancelled. I've had one session with my own therapist so far, and I feel like I'll be better equipped to handle that conversation once I've had a couple of sessions. If people want to know how that goes, I guess I'll comment on this post and post it to my profile, since only one update is allowed. As far as I know, Jane has asked her husband for a divorce. I only know this because he messaged my husband about it. Jane has not told her soon-to-be ex-husband what happened on her birthday, and my husband wants to tell him, of course. Not sure when that will happen, but it definitely needs to. Since they're already getting divorced, I could see how people might think that would just be adding salt to his wounds. But he had the right to know. I'll also post a comment when that happens and post it to my profile. I think that's everything. Just a few developments to share. Edit, forgot to add, apparently Jane said to my husband in the car the next morning, if I were sober, I would have fucked you. He said he just kept driving stone-faced. Also, my doorbell camera caught her asking him, do you think I fucked up? I haven't formulated what I'm going to say to her about this yet. Commenter replies saying about the car the next morning, saying, why the hell was he in a car with her after everything? Sorry, but your husband is also trash. Another commenter says, woman, your friend literally told your husband she would have slept with him sober. And your husband was out here moaning, choking, and talking about threesomes with her right in front of you. It's not a mistake. He's literally showing you who he really is when he thinks he can get away with it. Therapy or not, he disrespected you in the most humiliating way possible. Jane isn't a friend and your husband isn't a life partner. You don't need to save this marriage, but you need to save yourself. Stop being the third wheel. Lawyer up. Commenter says, I genuinely think your peace of mind and for the sake of saving your marriage, you need to end your friendship with Jane. She's not your friend, OP. Friends don't tell their friends' husbands that they'd fuck them if they were sober. Chances are she'll do something like this again if you keep her in your life. And the last commenter says, drop that friend of yours. She is no friend. And as for your husband, sorry to say, but he is no better. I absolutely agree with these comments in the situation. You know, I checked out very early in that story and thought OP should just be out of there. But I feel real sorry for OP that she still thinks she needs to meet up with Jane to have some kind of conversation. You absolutely don't. Just be out of there. You owe her nothing. She literally said sober that she would destroy your relationship without a second thought on you, basically. And I really hope that the therapy points out to her that all this guy is doing at the moment is damage control. And OP just deserves so much better. Some of the comments after this were pointing out the link between the sort of the domination kind of talk and OP's injury. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a deleted user from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole for telling an employee she can choose between demotion or termination? I own a vape shop. We're a small business, only 12 employees. One of my employees, Peggy, was supposed to open yesterday. Peggy has recently been promoted to manager after 2 solid years of good work as a cashier. I really thought she could handle the responsibility. So I wake up 3 hours after the place should be open, and I have 22 notifications on the store Facebook page. Customers have been trying to come to the shop, but the store is closed. Employees are showing up to work, but they're locked out. I call Peggy and get no response. I text her, same thing. So I go in and open the store. An hour before her shift was supposed to be over, she calls me back. I asked her if she's okay, and she says she needed to take a mental health day and do some self-care. I'm still pretty pissed at this point, but I'm trying to be understanding, as I know how important mental health can be. So I ask her why she didn't call me as soon as she knew she needed the day off. Her response, I didn't have enough spoons in my drawer for that. Frankly, I don't know what that means, but it seems to me like she's saying she cannot be trusted to handle the responsibility of opening the store in the morning. So I told her that she had 2 choices. 1, go back to her old position with her old pay. 2, I fire her completely. She's calling me all sorts of ists now and saying I'm discriminating her due to her poor mental health and her gender. None of this would have been a problem if she simply took 2 minutes to call out. I would have got up and opened the store on time, but this no call, no show shit is not the way to run a successful business. I think I might be the arsehole here, because I am taking away a promotion over something she really had no control over. But at the same time, she really could have called me. So Reddit, I leave it to you. Am I the arsehole? Edit, I came back from making a sandwich and had 41 messages. I can't say I'm going to respond to every one of you all individually, but I am reading all of the comments. Anyone who asks a question I haven't already answered will get a response. The top commenter says, not the arsehole. You aren't taking it away because of her gender or poor mental health. You're reacting to her not following the sickness policy of contacting you before her shift. To be honest, not showing up or contacting anyone, I wouldn't have been given her the choice. However, check that legally you're okay with that. Opie says I gave her a choice because I kind of feel like the whole thing is my fault. I promoted her past her level of success. She was and is an amazing cashier, so I figured I'd reward that. But being good at sales doesn't really translate to being a good manager. I'll be happy to have her here, doing her old job. Salt Superior says, the spoons thing is referring to spoon theory, a psychological theory regarding to the amount of energy it takes someone to perform a task. In this example, a normal person might need 1 spoon to call out, but someone with mental or chronic illness might need 4. Essentially a way of explaining that it can be harder to do things when you have a mental illnesses in a quantifiable way. That said, being as a neurodivergent person, It is complete and utter bullshit that she didn't make herself call you. It isn't just her shirking her responsibility. It is her making a decision that affects your livelihood and that livelihood of 12 other people. Not to mention the way she affected the customers. Because how many more tried to come to the store and didn't say anything on the Facebook page? If she didn't have enough spoons to work, fine, but if she can't be trusted to uphold her managerial duties, mental health or otherwise, she doesn't deserve that responsibility. She doesn't deserve the raise and the title that go with it, not the arsehole. Edit, there have been a lot of comments saying that the spoon theory was actually initially in reference to chronic illness. I've only ever seen it in reference to neurodivergence, so I apologize for being incorrect there. Mulberry says not the arsehole. I'm a manager as well and fully believe in the importance of mental health days and taking care of your mental well-being as much as your physical well-being. However, an employee just going AWOL like that is not okay. If they didn't have the spoons to call, they should have gotten a trusted friend or family member to call instead, or texted and thrown their phone across the room. I would happily make a last-minute call at work. Damaging the business by no-showing is not okay, but I'd have a serious talk with her about responsibilities and be frank about your expectations. It's the same as someone calling out half an hour before opening because they've gotten sudden onset diarrhea. Just call or text or tell someone you can't make it. Basically, don't demote or fire her, but put her on a type of probation. Make it explicitly clear that you value her well-being, but she can't no-show. And one more comment from Inevitable who says not the arsehole. She had absolute control over calling in to tell you she couldn't do her work. Not only is that expected, it's simply polite. You would not be able to run a business if your employees randomly don't turn up without notice. She's absolutely taking you for a ride here. But shortly after that, OP came in with an update and says, Peggy reached out to me yesterday, apologized and asked if we could meet for lunch. We met up and the first thing she did was apologize again for the no call / no show and also for her reaction to my response. She admitted that she knows I'm not sexist or ableist. I don't know if I spelled that right, there's a red line under it. And explained that she was lashing out due to her mental state. I accepted her apology and offered one of my own, both for giving her too much responsibility too quickly and also for reacting out of emotion. She explained to me that she had a major issue on Monday, and without getting into too much detail, I'll just say that it was the anniversary of a bad thing. She's taken all her accumulated PTO, up to 9 weeks, and we've agreed that going forward, I'm not going to put her on the schedule on that day ever again. She admitted that she's not up to the role of manager. When she returns, she'll be in the role of lead cashier, a role I created specifically for her. This way she can keep her raise and not feel like she got a demotion, but rather a lateral transfer. I've also let her know that if she ever feels like she's up to more responsibility, she can let me know and I put her right back on track for the manager spot. I've also let her know that if she's ever in a position where she's not able to call out, she can simply text me a thumbs down emoji, and I will accept that as notice that she will be missing her next shift. She agreed that that will be okay, even when she's out of spoons. I appreciate all of these 6,000 comments my post got, even the ones calling me the arsehole. Thank you all very much. I want to specifically address the folks who explained the spoon theory to me, as well as those who commented about Peter Principle. Those two types of comments very heavily influenced my actions. I was able to better understand both her issue and my own failures as a leader because of those comments. Hopefully we can both move forward from this unfortunate incident and end up better for it. And the majority of the comments after this were asking OP for a job for one, but also saying good on OP for being so compassionate and listening to OP and their issues as well and showing humility. Other people were saying that, you know, OP's being way too forgiving that for someone that left you out to dry. This reminded me of a situation that went the other way. Basically, the company that I was working for had a big company coming in for a meeting about their future and potentially what projects they wanted to work with our company for. And there was a lot of account managers within our company as well. There was probably at least 30. This particular manager was responsible for one of the big ones. And when I say big, you know, a lot of brands in the UK fell under the umbrella of this particular company. So it was absolutely huge for our company in itself. But on this day, the company came down, they traveled down to us. It was about a 2 to 3 hour drive from where their base was to where we were. I don't know if they stayed local, but there was some travel time for them involved. They made an effort, right? There was a lot of hustle and bustle in the business, people, preparing meals and caterers coming in and stuff, making sure they basically had a good time while they were being shown around our place. They didn't come into where I was in like the little dungeony area. But apparently during the morning, and I heard this from my direct manager at the time, the account manager of that company just disappeared, didn't tell anyone, just got up and left. He was meant to be given a presentation that day talking about, the link between the companies and all that good stuff, basically. But at the same time as disappearing, he didn't tell anyone. No one knew. He wasn't answering his phone or nothing, just completely vanished. So the presentation time comes round, the company's all sat there waiting for him in front of this big projection screen in the room at the very end of the building, and just absolutely nothing. He didn't turn up. The owner of the company there, managing director was there, and apparently it was just a real embarrassing situation. And apparently the next day, this guy just turned up like nothing had happened, just walked into the building, checked in, sat at his computer, and as you can imagine, pretty quickly he was called into the managing director's office to ask what was going on. I don't know the full ins and outs of there because I wasn't in that office, but within that month, slowly his responsibilities were transferred to someone else and he lost his job. We heard from other people that when he was discussing it, like after he left, because obviously he had a lot of friends in the building at the same time, that he just couldn't deal with the pressure and just disappeared. But people were like, why didn't you just say something then? Someone could have probably stood in your position, because while he was the account manager, there was a lot of people that worked for that company at the same time, so they could have probably stepped in quite easily. And I'm just like, man, but what do you guys make of this situation? Previous one, not the one that I just explained, not my fluff. Sorry. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, truly. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke.